This is CBC Winnipeg News.
Good evening, thanks for joining us. They're on riverbanks, in city parks, and near some schools and playgrounds. For some people, encampments are an eyesore. For others, a safety issue. Now the city is looking to set strict rules around where they are and are not allowed in Winnipeg. CBC's Gavin Axelrod has more.
This encampment has gone from this to this. The improvements had long been planned for the public right-of-way, and the people living there were moved into housing through the provincial homelessness strategy. It's a welcome development for nearby business owner Bruce Christian.
I think it's a good thing. You know, for two reasons. Safety of the businesses around here and the people that either work there or are customers of theirs, but the safety of the people in those encampments.
Winnipeggers could see a lot more clearing out of encampments. The city's Community Service Committee unanimously approved a motion putting Winnipeg one step closer to setting rules for tighter encampment enforcement.
Really will help give clear direction to our administration, to those in our service providers like Main Street Project, to residents, and to people that are looking for spaces to go where they can and where they can't.
The motion says encampments wouldn't be allowed within 50 meters of schools, playgrounds, or seniors' facilities. They'd also be forbidden where a hazard or obstruction of traffic exists, within a median or traffic island, and within 30 meters of transit shelters, bridges, docks, or piers, among other things. At other city properties, enforcement would take place 1 hour after sunrise and 1 hour before sunset.
This really strikes a balanced approach to try to say that there are certain limits that should be no-go zones for encampments. On the other hand, we do realize that there are some times that people will need to shelter overnight until we can get them into either a shelter, temporary housing, or into housing through the Your Way Home strategy.
Housing Minister Bernadette Smith says in a statement the province is reviewing the motion and continues to collaborate with partners at the city on enforcement. Main Street Project, the organization with the city contract for homelessness outreach, said it couldn't comment and needed more information on the motion. It still has to pass Executive Policy Committee and Council later this month. Gavin Axelrod, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Unreliable cell phone service in rural Manitoba is being called into question. It comes after a mass stabbing in Hollow Water First Nation that left 7 people injured and 2 dead. The small community is still in the depths of grief and mourning and recovery, including one MLA with deep ties to the area and the victims. CBC's Felicia Adam has more.
As Hollow Water First Nation continues to mourn, emotions are high for Minister Ian Bushy, who lives in the community.
It's still very much today. It's still very much real. It's still very much raw.
Early Thursday morning, 7 people were injured in a mass stabbing and an 18-year-old woman killed. The accused died in a crash with RCMP. Bushy, who is related to one of the victims, was in the community when it happened. He says someone knocked on his mother's door for help.
I don't think anybody imagines that this kind of thing can happen in their community.
Since then, crisis response teams and additional patrols in Long Plain First Nation have been in the community. A sacred fire lit for the victims and another planned in the upcoming days for the 2 lives lost. Bushy says it shows the strength of the First Nation.
There is a tremendous amount of supports in the community, not just family, or official resources, but just community members being able to come together in this time of need.
While there's internet in Hollow Water, there's no cell service. For the many people that we spoke to in the community, they say it could have played a part in delaying calls for help.
We've got some work to do in terms of making sure that that service is uniform across rural Manitoba, and that we're committed to ensuring that we're able to secure that service.
Minister of Innovation and New Technology Mike Mraz says he's aware there are gaps and understands the risk of what can happen if something isn't done quickly. Bell, Manitoba's 911 network provider, says they're working with all levels of government to expand connectivity. Bushy says the community will grieve first, then come up with a plan to move forward.
I think there really needs to be an all-encompassing conversation as to how we can do better. I don't think there's any one magic solution to this. I think the key part is when we go forward, it's what do we need to do better.
On Tuesday, a vigil will be held by students in grade 12 for their former classmate. Felicia Adam, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Family and friends are still holding out hope of finding a missing woman from Wasagamacq First Nation. A community-wide search took place this past weekend for 31-year-old Roxanne Little. Little was last seen August 22nd at her uncle's home where she stayed in the Island Lake community. She was reported missing on Friday. Wasagamacq is only accessible by boat and air at this time of year. Over the weekend, Wasagamacq and Garden Hill led house-to-house searches. Her uncle says she hasn't been active on social media, and it's unlike her to not come home after a couple days. He says RCMP arrived Sunday to join the search teams. Disgraced fashion mogul Peter Nygard's lawyer wants his sexual assault trial slated for later this year in Winnipeg to stop before it even gets started. His lawyer says Nygard won't get a fair trial because police failed to retain records related to the 1993 allegations. CBC's Bryce Hoy has more.
Peter Nygard appeared via video in a Winnipeg courtroom here behind me on Monday. His defense argues that police lost evidence from a complainant accusing him of a sexual assault in the 1990s. A woman we cannot name alleges Nygard sexually assaulted her in Winnipeg in 1993. She spoke with police in Winnipeg, then in Vancouver. Records of those discussions were either lost or not retained, either by Winnipeg police or the North Vancouver RCMP. And Nygard's lawyer Jerry Wiebe says the failure to retain records of those exchanges with police prevent her client from a fair trial. She says police who spoke with the woman in 1993 don't know what happened to interview notes, which form the original basis of the allegations, without which Wiebe says she can't do a proper cross-examination of the woman. She's hoping the court will agree that this constitutes unacceptable negligence on the part of police. She wants the court to issue a stay of proceedings, halting the trial slated for December. Nygard is presently serving out an 11-year sentence. He was found guilty in an Ontario court of 4 counts of sexual assault. He's appealing that. Nygard also still faces charges of sexual assault for incidents that allegedly took place in the 1990s in Quebec. Crown Prosecutor Rob Parker is fighting the motion to stay proceedings. Now he's expected to make his submissions in court on Tuesday. Bryce Hoy, CBC News, Winnipeg.
The newest member of the Manitoba legislature was sworn in today. Colleen Robbins won the Spruce Woods by-election in August. She was sworn in this afternoon as a progressive conservative MLA. Robbins plans to help out her party caucus on agricultural issues. To that end, she was critical today of Manitoba's premier's response to Chinese tariffs on Canadian canola. She says Manitoba growers would like to see Wab Kinew take more action.
They want the Premier to look like he cares, like doing something, looking for other markets. If we can't rely on China, we have to sell it. We have to get these to market. So we want to hear what his solutions would be, not just asking for Ottawa's help.
Meanwhile, former Winnipeg Blue Bomber Willard Reeves says he can bring the Manitoba Liberals back to official party status. Reeves announced this weekend he will run for party leader. He did not identify where he will try to win a seat. Reeves has run twice for the Liberals in Fort White, both times losing to Abhi Khan, who's now the PC leader. The Liberal Party has only 1 seat in the Manitoba legislature.
And I want to make a difference in all the people's lives here in Manitoba. I want to bring everybody together, all stakeholders. We need to change the way we do our politics. We need to stop opposing everything that someone brings up and work together to get a solution.
Reeves was previously the party's deputy leader. Sydney Lamoureux is the lone Liberal MLA and has been serving as the party's interim leader following the last general election. She announced earlier this summer she will not be seeking leadership. Time now to bring in weather specialist Riley Laychuk. And Riley, we are seeing the return of that dang minus sign.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, not so much this morning, Brittany, but yesterday morning, Sunday morning, chilly across parts of the province. Brandon getting down to -2 Sunday morning. Not a record, but still enough to get some frost in some places. Nonetheless, early in the morning yesterday. Fisher Branch, though, -2 yesterday morning. That was a new record, beating a record from 1993. A 70-year-old record falling yesterday morning in Pilot Mount at almost -1. Altona at 0. 0 yesterday morning. Not as chilly as we head even into the next week. I'll go into details in your full forecast a little bit later on, but we are looking at a bit of a ridge building in the jet stream, and that will allow some warmer temperatures into much of the province. A mix of sun and clouds really across the province today. A few stray showers around Highway 68, Arborg, Ericsdale, even back into the Parkland, seeing a few showers throughout the day. Some sunnier skies into parts of northern Manitoba as well as we've gotten throughout the afternoon. Maybe some patchy fog across the south tonight. 9 degrees overnight. Looking at 11 first thing in the morning, and Brittany's sunshine as we get into the afternoon, all the way up to 25 degrees. Your full forecast coming up.
Minus signs, no way.
No way.
Thanks, Riley.
You're welcome.
Well, with Portage and Main now open to pedestrians, what does it mean for the underground concourse? We'll have more on that ahead. The city of Winnipeg now has a clearer picture of what it would cost to decommission the concourse under Portage and Main. But what will happen with it remains the big question. A new report out today lays out some options and the multi-million-dollar price tags associated. Details from CBC's Cameron McLean.
Eric Chi owns a store in the Portage and Main concourse. He says the city of Winnipeg needs to make up its mind about whether to close the underground.
For me, the city has only two options, right? To keep it open or to close it down. So either way, in my opinion, I have to close.
Last year, the city decided to close the underground concourse and reopen Portage and Main to pedestrians. It said the structure needed tens of millions in repairs. Now, a report by a consulting firm pegs the cost of filling in the concourse with concrete at $11 million. But the fate of the concourse has not been determined. The city will do a cost-benefit analysis to consider its options, something Mayor Scott Gillingham supports.
I don't want to see this drag on and on and on. I just don't. On the flip side, we don't want to rush departments to give us, reports that don't have the complete information.
There are currently 6 businesses operating in the concourse. Decommissioning would force them to close and bury the iconic concourse artwork forever. Repairing the waterproof membrane that protects the concourse and the necessary street work would cost $57 million. Tom Thiessen represents the building owners connected to the concourse. He says that's the only option the city should be considering.
This is a publicly owned asset. It was built with taxpayer dollars. It should be taken care of with the same care that private owners take care of their buildings.
Meanwhile, business owners like Chi just have to wait.
There's nothing for me to do, right? But I want to know as soon as possible what's their decision, what they're thinking, there's a plan.
There's no timeline for when the cost-benefit analysis will be done. So for now, people will continue to be able to walk through the concourse until the city decides what to do with it. Cameron McLean, CBC News, Winnipeg.
A Swan Lake First Nation lawyer has become the first Indigenous woman to be president of the Manitoba Bar Association. It's been a career of opening doors for Stacey Soldier. She was also the first person in her family to go to university. During her 17 years practicing law, Soldier says there's a moment that has especially stuck with her, seeing the surprise of her 13-year-old client when they learned their lawyer was an Indigenous woman.
It really crystallized something that the late Marie Sinclair had told me when I was a law student, is that my presence is going to be meaningful for clients who come to the court and are afraid and are unsure, and because it's such a foreign system to many Indigenous people.
Soldier began her new job as president of the Bar Association last week. An iconic Canadian water bomber is on the production line for the first time in almost a decade. The demand for these planes is growing as wildfires continue to spread in North America and Europe. Josh McLean has more.
At this Calgary factory, a work in progress. This will be a DHC 515 firefighter, the first of its kind to be built in nearly 10 years.
It's really exciting for us to be bringing the aircraft back into production.
The original design dates back to the 1960s. It's also known as a super scooper, and you can see why. A workhorse for fighting wildfires in Canada and Europe.
That's why they've been very popular in Canada, because of the amount of lakes that we have. They've been very popular in Europe because you have the Mediterranean.
Bombardier stopped production in 2015. De Havilland acquired the rights not long after, resuming production on a modernized version last October, and buyers are lining up.
We expect more fire in the future, more intense fire in the future, which is difficult, challenging to impossible to extinguish some of these fires if they get large. So we need a strategy to deal with this new reality.
European countries have ordered the first 22 aircraft. Manitoba and Ontario plan to buy some too, but those planes won't be taking off until 2030 at the earliest. A worrying timeline for some as Canada's existing fleet ages.
We've got 5 years of what I call, spit and baling wire to keep the CL-215s in the air.
Water bombers can buy you time, especially when the conditions are extreme like we've been seeing, hot, dry, and windy. They buy you that time to get a handle on the fire. So that's the best use, and we have a shortage.
De Havilland says it will ramp up production if there is enough demand for their planes.
We're anticipating somewhere up to 11 a year, but if there are significant orders that come in, we're going to challenge ourselves to produce more to satisfy the demand.
For now, Canadian fire agencies will have to make do with what they have until these aircraft can take to the skies. Josh McLean, CBC News, Calgary.
Riley is back in now. And Riley, I don't know about you, but for me, this time of year is really difficult to figure out what to wear because it's chilly in the morning, but you don't want to wear a big sweater or long sleeve because it's warm in the afternoon. It's just that odd time right before we have that fall switch.
Yeah, still shorts weather for me.
Right? Well, yeah, shorts weather all year round for so many people here in Manitoba.
Exactly. I'll wear shorts until it starts snowing.
There we go.
And we'll take them off. There's some fashion advice for you if you needed it. Okay, so we are looking at overnight temperatures actually staying pretty warm over the next even week or so. We can take a look at some of the numbers right now. I mean, overnight in Thompson tonight, for example, +3, so close to freezing, but have a look at some of these numbers and just keep in mind the normal low for this time of the year is 7 degrees. So we're a good 7-8 degrees above seasonal. These are your overnight temperatures, at least according to this forecast modeling as we get out even toward the middle of the month yet, looking at overnight temperatures 12, 13 degrees. So if your garden survived maybe a little bit of frost over the past few days or so, you know what? There's some hope that it will keep going for another week or so yet. Maybe. Okay, so looking at our upper level winds, and you can see really the reason that we're getting into some of these warmer conditions is this ridge that has built in the jet stream out to the west, and this will start to push a little bit further eastward as we get through the day Tuesday, but certainly into Wednesday is when we'll really start to feel some of those warmer temperatures through the daytime as we get toward the middle of the week. Bit of a blip toward the end of the week, which I'll get into, but for Tuesday at least, we are looking at mainly sunny skies, really province-wide. First thing in the morning, a bit of extra cloud cover in northeastern parts of the province, maybe a few scattered showers out of some of this, but generally speaking, looking at high pressure close to the surface, really keeping us nice and sunny for the next week or so. Really from Saskatchewan right through into northwestern Ontario. This is the next feature I'm watching. It's an area of low pressure over the territories, but a cold front coming down along with this could trigger some showers as we get into the day on Thursday for much of central and southern Manitoba. I have a good chance of showers for Winnipeg as we get later into the afternoon hours, but this is more like a Wednesday, Thursday event for the Paw, Thompson, into Gillam and Shamattawa, for example. As we get into Friday, maybe a few lingering showers, but other than that, really just looking at the potential for maybe a couple of showers out of some of this as we get toward the end of the week. What I am watching for is the potential for some fog development through the overnight hours tonight. This takes us out to 7 o'clock in the morning on Tuesday, and you can see much of this into parts of southeastern Manitoba, northwestern Ontario, but even into the Interlake, looking at visibilities, for example, in the Red River Valley around 600 meters first thing in the morning. There is the risk we see some of that patchy fog into the west as well, but I do think we have a greater chance of seeing that as we get into the morning hours tomorrow for Winnipeg and eastward as we get into the first part of your morning commute tomorrow. So just keep that in mind if you're on the road. Early in the morning, once we get to the afternoon, 24s, 25s across much of the south, 19 in Gimli, looking at 16 in Thompson tomorrow afternoon. And in the long range, Brittany, mainly sunny skies for Wednesday, once again 26 degrees. There's that blip with maybe a few showers Wednesday into Thursday, and looking at a sunny Saturday at 26 degrees as well.
And back to summer.
Yes.
Thanks, Riley.
You're welcome.
We have more ahead right after this. Stay with us. Prime Minister Mark Carney has announced an $80 million tariff relief fund for businesses in Atlantic Canada. It's aimed at helping industries there hit hard by Donald Trump's trade war with Canada. But the Liberal government is also proposing millions of dollars in support for the aluminum sector. Kate McKenna has the details.
With the provincial election looming, Prime Minister Mark Carney visited Newfoundland and Labrador, announcing $80 million of a $1 billion fund intended to help Atlantic Canadian businesses weather the tariff storm.
Help them not just to invest, not just to endure, but to thrive.
Last week, the Carney government announced new plans and money to help tariff-afflicted industries.
Becoming more efficient in federal spending so that we have the room, we have the force to support our businesses so they can invest for the future.
This relief, this $80 million, hopefully that it's going to be an easy process, not a lot of bureaucracy, and that businesses can get the support they need. But we know there are businesses in Atlantic Canada right now that desperately need this support.
Meanwhile, in Quebec, Canada's industry minister sought to reassure a major industry under direct threat. The United States has slapped a 50% tariff on aluminum.
The Quebec aluminum sector will get its fair share. And we believe that with the projects that are being discussed right now with Alcoa, with Rio Tinto, and with Alouette, it's hundreds of millions of dollars.
Today's announcement is a very clear signal from the federal government, the Canadian government, Melanie, that the government stands behind us.
Still, the federal government insists the fight's not over. They want to see these tariffs lifted.
We need to think about the fact that the President of the United States have decided that it's his economy will be based on paying for having access to it.
Last week, the Prime Minister admitted it's unlikely the American tariffs will be lifted anytime soon. He said there could be some smaller sector-specific deals. But at the same time, both countries are preparing to review the existing free trade agreement starting next year. Kate McKenna, CBC News, Ottawa.
2 Palestinian gunmen opened fire at a bus stop in Jerusalem, killing 6 people and wounding a dozen others. Police say the attackers shot people waiting at the stop and at a bus that had just pulled up. A soldier and at least 1 armed civilian then shot and killed the attackers. Israeli security officials say the 2 attackers were from the West Bank. Crystal Gamansing has more.
In Jerusalem's outskirts, Ramat Junction, a busy hub of buses and commuters, erupted in chaos and death. Maybe after 2-3 seconds, someone suddenly shouted terror attack and people started running, says eyewitness Elzar Toldano. 6 people were killed, many others injured. According to Israeli police, 2 Palestinian attackers were shot dead at the scene by an off-duty soldier and an armed civilian. Shlomo Spry was at the scene.
It's hard to describe in words. Devastation, sorrow, and just praying for those that were injured. They should get a speedy recovery.
The Monday morning attack is described as the deadliest of its kind since the war began in Gaza. The gunmen are believed to have been from a village in the nearby occupied West Bank. Visiting the scene, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu vowed to press on. We will not relent. We will not back down. We will intensify our operations and achieve all of our objectives, said Netanyahu. Israel Defense Forces descended on villages in the West Bank, raiding a home reportedly connected to one of the attackers. In Gaza, operations were more destructive. The IDF struck down another tower in Gaza City. This one was empty, but displaced people nearby suffered the fallout. They destroyed everything for the people, says Mohammed Noman. The tents were destroyed. There's nothing left for people to live in. The Hamas-run Gaza Health Ministry says in the last 24 hours, 67 people have been killed in Israeli operations. Netanyahu said more airstrikes would be ordered ahead of a ground maneuver, warning residents to leave now. Israel's president is expected in London for meetings this week. A demonstration in support of Palestinians has been scheduled Tuesday evening outside of 10 Downing Street, although it's unclear if Isaac Herzog will be meeting with the British Prime Minister. Crystal Gamansing, CBC News, London.
Local media in Nepal say the country's government has lifted its ban on social media after deadly protests. At least 19 people have been killed after police opened fire during large anti-government demonstrations. Salima Shivji has the latest.
Fury from the crush of protesters crowding into the streets of Kathmandu as they storm towards the parliament and a wall of police. The clashes fiery and violent. Police used tear gas and unleashed water cannons. The bullets missed me, this protester says, but my friend was shot in the head. How can they just fire indiscriminately at us, he asks.
They're killing little children, people in school uniforms with school ID cards. This government does not care about us.
More than 100 demonstrators were hurt as the death toll inched upwards. At this trauma center for the wounded, pain and confusion. It was a real bullet that ripped away part of my hand, Iman Magar says. I was there for a peaceful protest, but the police used so much force. They had gathered by the thousands to protest a wide-ranging ban on 26 social media platforms like Facebook and YouTube, put in place just days ago to tackle hate speech, the government said. Others criticized the ban as a means to stifle dissent. But the protest, dominated by Nepal's disillusioned younger generation, is about much more.
They want to control us just like a dictator. All the Nepalese citizens are fed up of corruption. Every youth are going outside the country.
And the aggressive police response to the protest, a dangerous miscalculation, observers say.
It's only going to make the matter worse. The poor governance, the nepotism, and the corruption that fueled the kids protesting, but the use of force, which is just unjustifiable.
As the protests exploded, Nepal's prime minister hastily called a cabinet meeting, his government choosing to give in to the protesters and reverse the social media ban, hoping that will be enough to quell the deep anger against an increasingly unpopular government. Salima Shivji, CBC News, Mumbai.
French Prime Minister François Bayrou has been defeated in a confidence vote, plunging the country into a political crisis. Bayrou must now tender his resignation to the country's president, Emmanuel Macron.
Au nom du gouvernement, remercier l'Assemblée nationale.
Bayrou, seen here in the National Assembly, had called for an emergency confidence debate on the country's debt. He proposed cost-cutting by scrapping 2 national holidays and freezing welfare payments and pensions. But lawmakers on the left and hard right united against his government. Polls indicate few French citizens view debt control as a national priority. France will now have its 5th prime minister in less than 2 years. After the ousting of a conservative and centrist PM, political analysts expect Macron to pick a center-left candidate. CBC News is getting exclusive access to Canada's annual military exercises in the Arctic. Operation Nanook has grown in importance and urgency as a warming climate and melting ice makes the far north more attractive to foreign powers. David Common is there and shows us scenarios that Canadian Armed Forces are learning to handle.
In Canada's far north, military helicopters are bound for a mountaintop. This area, so vast, an oil tanker spotted below is just a blip on the horizon. It is just the latest in an ever-expanding list of ships up here as climate change opens up these waters. At the mountain peak, the Griffin helicopter lands gingerly and ejects a small team of soldiers. They will live on this land for days at a time, watching out to the waterway below, because there are adversaries of Canada, China and Russia in particular, who are very interested in this region. There is certainly risk to these troops, alone, isolated, exposed, and in freezing temperatures. But their job is guarding against risks below. For instance, what if an oil tanker should sink or run aground. It's a disaster that Canada's Coast Guard here is practicing for, pulling a protective boom which would contain a spill of any kind.
What is the risk if you can't contain?
Of course, in the Arctic, there's minimal resources and infrastructure, and so the impacts of a large spill or potential pollution event in the Arctic could be very significant.
It also means that response time could be days, at least. It's why ships are required to carry their own equipment and deploy it should they leak or spill contaminants. The question, though, is whether cargo vessels would actually do that, especially in such a vast area where it may seem few are watching. On the bridge of HMCS William Hall, one of the Navy's newest vessels, the crew must watch for ice even in summer.
Went back with the tide.
Sub-Lieutenant Eric Muir-Cressman says vessel traffic up here has exploded with climate change warming waters and melting ice. But it's also made ice more unpredictable. And with that comes risk.
That's so random where the ice actually is, converging and forming, that those routes that used to be fairly consistent, like you can get here through here this time of year, they're jam-packed with ice. Or one that you thought was, closed is completely open.
That report from David Common. You can watch more of his exclusive coverage from the Arctic on CBC News Network and, of course, on our webpage. Coming up, some bears on Broadway are now sporting new coats. We'll meet the artist painting up some of these iconic bears straight ahead. A local artist from Pimachikamak Cree Nation has been chosen to have her design showcased in a major retailer's cross-Canada campaign ahead of National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. Brooklyn Rudolph-Nicholas is an award-winning Indigenous artist. Her grandparents were both residential school survivors. Now her artwork is being featured on shirts as part of Walmart's Orange Shirt Day campaign. She spoke with Information Radio's Marcy Marcusa about her design and what it means.
The shirt was inspired by my late grandparents. They were both residential school survivors, and I wanted to, showcase and honor them as well as all the children that attended these schools. And, the eagle flying above represents love, one of the 7 sacred teachings, and the star in the middle there represents Kiwatin in Cree. That means the going home star, guiding the children home.
I love that. So the picture is in a circle, and then there's like a sunrise or sunset.
Yeah, it could be either or.
Okay.
Yeah.
Beautiful, vibrant orange and blues there, and then there's trees that look like northern Manitoba.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
And then there is it looks to be 2 children holding hands. Do they represent your grandparents?
Yes, they do. They do represent my grandparents and all the children that attended these schools. And I also wanted to, have them hold hands to represent a unity and resilience together, standing together strong.
Are your grandparents still with us?
No, they passed away.
Yeah. So they don't know this.
No, but I know they would be really proud of me. For sure.
Yeah. What's the rest of your family think about it?
They're very proud. They're very proud that I'm using my art to support others through their healing journeys, and I couldn't be more proud.
What do you think about on Orange Shirt Day? I mean, obviously, we're talking about your design, but what does it mean to you?
It means, for my art personally, I want to use this as a platform to support healing for Indigenous survivors and families across the country. And I am so grateful that, I've gotten this opportunity, because this brings a lot of visibility for truth and reconciliation across Canada.
How did they tell you? Like, do they phone you and say, hey, it's Walmart? Or you know what I mean? Like, have you been chosen?
Yeah, so it was through Indigenous Proud. It's an Indigenous organization, and they are the ones who collaborate with Walmart. So it was really cool to sit down with all of us together and kind of discuss the whole process. But after I submitted my submission, they contacted me a few months later, and they were like, oh yeah, by the way, you were selected. So it was very exciting.
Where did the design first show up for the shirt? Like, is this an image that you had, drawn before or painted before, or was it specific to for the shirt?
Okay, so this design I actually painted a few years ago. So it was inspired by my grandparents and, survivors and children who attended these schools. Yeah. And whenever I seen the art submission call out, I was like, okay, you know what, let me just submit this painting. It holds a very close place to my heart, and it just so happened to be selected. So I was like, oh my gosh, yay.
But what do you want people to know about your grandparents?
I want people to know that, they are very strong. They were very strong people, and what happened in these schools are, unfortunately all too common among Indigenous communities across the country. And if there's anything you could take away from this campaign, I want others to know that when you support a campaign like this, or Indigenous survivors and people across the country, you're supporting the healing and truth and reconciliation as well. So it means a lot.
You are donating a portion of shirts as well. Tell me a little bit about that.
Of course. So I wanted to allow other people to, be a part of this meaningful campaign. I know not everybody can afford shirts. And I actually applied for a grant through the government of Manitoba, and I will be donating up to 300 shirts to a shelter with Willow Place. And I will also be donating a portion of them to schools within Winnipeg.
And of course, that day, September 30th. So still some time to pick up those orange shirts if you need to.
Absolutely.
Maybe an orange sweater by that time, but hopefully not by tomorrow at the very least.
If you're going out early, you should be fine. You can probably ditch the mitts. I know some probably have had the mitts on the last few days. Maybe you'll need a sweater. Depends
I've seen the toque already making an appearance on some people.
Depends how early you're out for that dog walk tomorrow morning. What I do know, though, for your dog walking forecast is that our sibling duo tonight prefer the afternoon walks into the day, Teddy and Kitty Cat. Thanks, Karen. they prefer to go out in the afternoon. And we're looking at mainly sunny sky as we head into the afternoon hours tomorrow. Keep sending your pics to talkback@cbc.ca. So, I mean, if you're going out first thing in the morning, if we're out around 8, double digits already, 11 degrees. Looking at 25 through the afternoon, maybe we squeeze a 26 out of this. We'll have to see tomorrow, though, once we get into the day, 23 by the evening. So looking at a pretty lovely evening as well. Bit of cloud cover still on the horizon. We've been under a mix of sun and clouds here in downtown, at least through much of the afternoon. Right now, 21 degrees in Winnipeg. A light southeasterly wind. Pressure is falling at the moment. Temperatures in the low 20s across the Red River Valley, at least 18 in Gimli, 17 in Victoria Beach. But compare that to the west here, 25 in Brandon, Melita, the province's hot spot this afternoon at just about 27 degrees and 17 at the moment in Thompson. Overnight tonight, as I mentioned a little earlier, be on the lookout for some patchy fog, particularly Winnipeg and eastward, I think has the best chance into northwestern Ontario of seeing a bit of fog. Temperatures around 9-10, mainly clear skies in northwestern Ontario. A bit of cloud will clear out as we get through the evening tonight through Winnipeg, through the Inner Lake, looking at temperatures around 10 overnight tonight as well. Dauphin and 8 degrees. The chance of some patchy fog overnight tonight in parts of western Manitoba as well. Although, like I said, I think that we do have a greater chance the further east you go in the province. Still looking at some cool temperatures in the north, 2 in Stewley Lake, 4 overnight in Thompson, 5 with a bit of cloud cover into Gillam as well. Tomorrow looking at a mix of sun and clouds. Out of some of this cloud cover, particularly in the northeast here, maybe pick up a couple of scattered showers, but we are looking at a clearing sky west to east as we get through the day. 17 in Thompson by the afternoon. OCN, the Paw at 21 by the afternoon under a mix of sun and clouds. In the south, mainly sunny skies, a bit of cloud cover hanging around first thing in the morning. Again, maybe some fog first thing. Once that burns off, though, we're into the sunshine. 25s and 26s, another warm day in western Manitoba. 23 in Dauphin under a sunny sky as well. And that sunshine carrying into the Red River Valley. 25 for Winnipeg. 24s into the southeastern corner of the province, Brittany. And we're looking at temperatures around 22 into northwestern Ontario. You're 7 days on the way.
Thanks, Riley.
You're welcome.
Well, some of you may remember seeing the bears on Broadway back in 2005 at Memorial Park. Now, some of those bear statues have gotten a fresh coat of paint and in some cases, a fresh new look. Shanalee Vidal has more.
I gave it a prime to begin with, and after that I got right into painting.
Artist Rachel Lancaster has just spruced up another of the former Bears on Broadway. It's the 4th one she's repainted, and it sits outside the Access Credit Union in Gimli. It's covered in shades of pink, purple, blue, and green to resemble the northern lights across a line of trees.
I start with my lightest color and I move towards my darkest color, and I never change my roller. I did it all with a roller. So you just keep rolling and blending and rolling and blending. So I don't know actually what the original paint job was on this. I did have a couple people who passed me and they said, we think it was a landscape, but about 6 or 7 years ago, this bear was just painted white. I guess it was looking very, very rough.
Our polar bears have traveled south to Broadway.
I remember when they first hit Broadway, we went down to visit them with like my friends and I. We ran up and down the street. We took pictures of all these bears. I remember it being a real moment in time, and people were excited about them. I was excited about them. The first bear that I was asked to restore was the blue bomber bear. This bear is in Winnipeg, and it is the Lyle Bauer bear. So I mimicked the original design that was underneath, just freshened the whole thing up. So there was some concrete structural repairs to do, and there was some cracking on the bear.
Most of Rachel Lancaster's commissions are for custom murals. This colorful one at Nick's Inn draws inspiration from the pop culture of the 1950s. That Headingley restaurant is also where you can find the second bear Lancaster restored.
I think he was just wearing like an apron and it said Nick's Inn on it. So he was pretty simple. So because Nick's Inn is a drive-through diner, I went with a Hawaiian shirt and like flowers mixed with burgers and French fries. And for a while, Nick's Inn was like, tag us in a photo and you can get a little deal on your food. There was the whole thing with the bear. And you can actually see on all of the bears that I go and repaint, there's like a wear mark where people stand and take photos of the bears. Bear number 3 is at Winnipeg. That one had kind of more like a northern scene to it. There was some elk, a big blue sky, and underneath they actually had built onto the concrete little 3D animals. That one didn't need too much structural repair, so I was able to just go in, clean off any of the loose flaking paint, prime any of the spots that you could see bare concrete, and then I matched all of the artwork as best I could to what was underneath. So it was just like giving it a fresh facelift. I feel very honored. This was such an honor to be asked to do this. I feel like it's giving life to art history here in Winnipeg and surrounding areas.
Still ahead, Riley's back with a last check on our forecast, plus how a group of volunteers rallied to help a Manitoba farmer. That story straight ahead. We have some remarkable images to show you next. It's a rare celestial sight that captivated millions of people. This is a look at the lunar eclipse. You can see the moon appear that reddish orange as it passed through the Earth's shadow. We have images coming into us from much of the planet. Even though we had a full moon here last night, unfortunately, the eclipse wasn't visible in Canada. Canadians in the Northwest will get a chance to see a lunar eclipse next March.
And skies should be clear enough tonight to see that mostly full moon. It's still about 99% full. and very bright in the night sky. As we get into the day on Tuesday, maybe a few fog patches, as I mentioned, first thing in the morning, but then we're getting into a bright and sunny afternoon. Above seasonal for this time of the year by about 5 degrees across much of southern Manitoba. Sunset, by the way, at 7:54 tomorrow night. So we are looking at some earlier sunsets as we get into September here. 26 for Wednesday, 23s, 24s, maybe some showers to end the week, and then have a look at your weekend forecast here. 26, 24, mostly sunny skies through the weekend and a bit of cloud cover as we get into Monday. The owner of a pumpkin patch in St. Andrews got an outpouring of support to help her save her harvest over the weekend.
The patch was already behind schedule and frost, Riley, was in the forecast. The community's response is tonight's Daily Lift.
I don't even know how we'll get everything off the field. We usually have at least till the middle of the month, but that's not the case, and there's so much to take off the field. Like, there's just no way that we can do it.
Melody Schwabe put out a tearful video on social media before a frost was supposed to come, and the community stepped up to help. About 100 volunteers came out between Friday and Saturday.
So many of the people had never even heard of my farm or been here, and they just came, some with their kids. There were lots of seniors who came out too, and like people from all walks of life. It was just beautiful to meet everybody.
Schwabe says drought put the Interlake farm about a month behind schedule. She and her husband will now sort through the harvest to see what can be salvaged.
That is the true meaning of friendly Manitoba right there.
Exactly. The whole community steps up to help and gets us through.
Sometimes it takes a village.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for being here with us tonight. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Have a great night.
Have a great night.
I saw that they're posting they've got to go through to view